given by A star of omega applied on matrices M. This is n by n matrix is equal to what? Is equal to the sum of m n gamma m gamma omega x n y gamma omega x m y bar. Actually, it's just a back propagation of the signal. You take the elements of the matrix, you multiply them by the conjugate of the Green function from the receiver to point y, and from the y would be y is something inside here. Y is this variable. Okay, so you compute, you back propagate the fundamental solutions. Xn is here and xm is here. For this xn and xm, you multiply, you get the entry mn of the matrix M, and you multiply it by the complex conjugate of this product of this Green function. So this is A star. So this A star, it corresponds to back propagate back propagation is just taking a complex conjugate of this fundamental solutions. Okay. I will go back to this on Thursday. When we do this time reversal imaging, it's clear, because time reversal is to back propagate in time, to reverse the time, and reversing the time in Fourier transform is just multiplying, is taking the complex conjugate. So that's why it's a back propagation of the array data, both from the receivers they are here, and the transmitters. We back propagate them into the medium. Back propagate both the data, both from the receivers and the transmitters inside the medium, inside the search region. Y is in this search region, right? Or this is, or we call it also test function. Okay, so this is the solution. Actually, we have solved this least square solution when it's linearized. So when linearization is to take a v close to 1. Okay, we have the solution. This is solution, but still it's very complicated because you have to do many things. So we don't like it very much, and we have to invert this one. And actually, if you think about it, this is for many situations. For this circular situation, you can compute what it is. If it's circular and if it's equidistributed, then this one is almost identity. It's identity matrix. So you don't want to invert in the identity matrix. It's almost. Identity is a good approximation. So you will get rid of this one. And then you change least square solution to something else. Okay? If you get rid of this one, it would be time reverse. Okay? So just approximation of least square solutions. Okay? Because you don't want to compute it, because the array would be complicated. It may not be circular. It may not be equidistributed. It may be not coincident. So for coincident equidistributed circular array, it's identity. For general case, it's not identity, but it's close. It's not very far. So you get rid of it. Okay, so when you get rid of it, you change the least square imaging function. So what's the least square imaging function? Least square imaging function is this one. ALS, A always for imaging function, of Y search is equal to this complicated thing, sum of omega A star omega A star d omega minus 1 on the integral of A star omega A measurement. This is the imaging function. If it's 0, there is nothing. If it's not 0, then there is a point reflector. Okay. So if it's 0, it's nothing. And if it's not 0, then there is point reflector. So what you do is you plot ALS just in the domain of concern, the search domain. Here, you are looking at point reflectors here. You compute its value everywhere here on some grid here. And if it's 0, there is no point reflector. If it's not 0, there is a reflector. But still, it's complicated. So we want to simplify. And in order to simplify, we will get rid of this term. Because this is it's motivated by the fact that it's identity for circular equidistributed coincident arrays. So in very particular situation, it's identity. But in general situation, we don't want to handle this. It's too expensive. So we get rid of this and we get time reversal. So reverse migration, called reverse migration. It's time reversal and time domain, but it's reverse migration. Reverse time migration. Imaging function would be for Y search would be the sum on d omega. This one, A star omega of A measurement. So what's this? It's gamma. I computed what is A star. It's this one. And here would be A measurement. So would be A, the sum of A measured, Mn. These are the measurements, the elements we got. We backpropagate gamma, omega, xn, y, search bar, gamma omega, xm, y, search bar. So we have response matrix here. We just backpropagate and we get imaging function. This one, if it's 0, there is nothing. If it's not 0, there is point reflectors. It's good. But still, we are very lazy. Gamma omega is too complicated. It's exponential of something over x minus y. It's complicated. So in 3 dimension, it's exponential a omega xy minus ys over 4 pi xn minus ys. In 2 dimension, it's even worse. h10 a over 4. This is minus plus omega xn minus ys. But this one, when xn minus ys is very large, it can be approximated by the same exponential a omega xn minus ys over square root of xn minus ys up to some constant. It's a high frequency approximation of this function. So because we are lazy, we will get rid of all the factors we don't want to compute. We get rid of this one in 3 dimension, or of this one in 2 dimension, and we keep only the face. This is face. So here we change this TR in Kirchhoff migration, which is a Kirchhoff migration ys is given by C. We backpropagate AMN measured, the element of the measured matrix, with without gamma, but only keeping the face. So exponential minus A omega xn minus ys exponential minus omega xm minus ys. So we can put this like exponential minus a omega xn minus ys plus xm minus ys. That's all. We keep only the phase. And what's the xn minus ys plus xm minus ys? It's travel time from here to here and from here to here. Okay. Minus here is for back propagation. Okay. And this is Kirchhoff migration algorithm. Kirchhoff. Okay. So this is simplest one because it's much simpler than the reverse time migration. Reverse time migration uses the fundamental solution. We used only the phase. We get rid of the amplitude, and it's this reverse time migration. It's simpler than least square solution because the least square solution we have to compute the inverse of a star a. Okay, so we approximate the inverse of a star a by identity. We approximate a star a by identity integral of the omega. Now, other algorithms. Other algorithms are music algorithm. So what would be imaging function of music? Actually, music algorithm is one of this weighted subspace migration algorithms. So let me introduce what is weighted space migration algorithms. For these algorithms, we are using all the elements of the matrix. Okay, reverse migration here, all the MAMM. Okay, this one, of course. This one, of course, and Kirchhoff migration also is. We are using all the elements of the matrix. We are using all the matrix. Weighted subspace migration is to use only the signal space and not the whole matrix. So signal space, what is the signal space of A? Where is the signal space of A? It's here. Okay, this is signal space here. This gives the signal space. Signal space is the range of A. Okay. This is signal space. Because noise is approximately zero. Is approximated by zero. Okay, so weighted subspace migration is to use the singular value decomposition of A, to use its signal space. Okay. Subspace migration. This is another class of algorithms. So first class we are using the whole matrix. Now we are using a signal space of the matrix. So A measured is given by that guy. Okay. So weighted subspace here. I said that this V is equal to W if we have the same array of the array of receivers and the array of transmitter are the same, then V is nothing else than W bar. Okay, I will write it down. So A, this is just to simplify, is approximately sigma G from 1 to R. R is the number of reflectors. Sigma G VZG VZG. Which one is bar? I can write it in terms of W. It's maybe better. W and WZG transpose. Right? This is A. In the particular case when the array of transmitters is the same as the two arrays are coincident of receivers. Okay. So weighted subspace migration is a subspace migration. It's another imaging function. It depends on YS. It depends on, let me call it, I have W. What kind of other function I can use? Weight 2. And it depends on some vector 2 to alpha. Let's call it alpha. Which is this, we compute G of YS bar transpose, the sum of sigma G W Z G W Z G transpose, and we multiply with actually instead of WG we will multiply with some weight alpha G. So from A is the measured matrix. When you do its singular value decomposition, what you get from the measurement, you get these ones and you get these ones. They are done. Now the imaging function, take any vector alpha, these are weights, so alpha 1 to alpha r. Okay. Compute the green function. This is G is the vector of green functions. So G Y S is this vector gamma omega Y S x1 gamma omega Y S x n transpose. This is vector. This is a vector of fundamental solutions computed from the array of transmitter or receiver, because they are the same, to the point YS, this point YS, compute this vector, and then compute the projection of this vector of fundamental solution onto the space. So compute G, this thing, and G YS bar. This would be another function. It depends on the weights you have here. Okay, for any choice of these weights, you have a different function. So one weight would be to put everyone with the same contribution. So one,
Is it positive?
it has to be, yeah. Actually, you can combine, you can use whatever you want, but at the end, your imaging function has to have maximum or minimum at the location. So you should make them positive. Actually, they are positive. They could be complex. Actually, they could be complex. Alpha G, alpha. Could be complex, but they are good choices, appropriate choices, and they are very bad choices. So it's up to you to make it work. But you can choose whatever you want. Actually, okay. So if you take there are two choices, particular choices. So this is subspace migration. You use only the image, the signal space of the matrix, and you project the green function, the vector of fundamental solution at the search point. That's all. And you have here all of these choices. So one choice is just you can use. Gamma G is equal to the computed singular value. You can use gamma G is equal to 1. Okay? If you use gamma G is equal to to the computed singular value, ASM is nothing else than partition. It's the same. Okay? If you use something else, it would be different. Okay? So music is to use ASM with this how I call it, this alpha G, some ASM of YS and alpha are given by, where I put this, alpha, they are complex, so alpha G is equal to exponential minus 2a, the argument between the Green function at y s. Actually, this gamma, these are constants, but you can make them even choice. They can make them depending on the search point. It's up to you. So if you choose them like this, argument of the G bar at the search point YS, the VL, this, and actually you project onto the first again. Where is G? So G is here. I get rid of this. So you take I call it V, what is now it's W. This is W. You take the scalar product, you take W of GG, you have computed this. And you take the argument of this guy. This gives you scalar. Is that right, sir? So G would be, this is vector. After maybe G is, where is G? So maybe I have G somewhere. Let me just check with my notation. So what was W? W was vector, or on this W was like this. It's not column. This was line, right? So okay, you compute this. It's complex number. It's complex number. You take this argument and you take this exponential, and this alpha J, and this would be music algorithm. So written like this, it doesn't mean anything. But it's nothing else than, if you do the computation, it's nothing else than 1 over the square root of the Green function at YS minus its projection on W G transpose bar G YS W G. So you project, you take the Green function and you project onto you take the Green function and you project it onto the noise. So you take P noise is identity minus P. P is the orthogonal projection onto the image space or range of A, range of A measurement. Okay, this is P, the projection onto the range. Identity minus P is the projection onto the noise. Okay, and you will compute 1 over the projection onto the noise of the green function. If the green function is coming from one of these receivers, one of these targets, its projection onto the noise is 0. So you compute 1 over 0. This is infinity. So A music will get infinite value at the location of the reflectors. Actually, it will have large peaks. It's not infinite because you not divide by 0. You divide by something very small. So A music will get large peaks. Because of this choice, it's nothing else than the projection onto the noise space. And it will have large peaks at the location of the reflectors. Okay. So these are 2 examples. So reverse time migration is it's actually one subspace migration algorithm, and music is one subspace algorithm. We are projecting green function onto the noise or into, okay, it's a subspace algorithm. And actually, if you think about it, you can use other choices. You can use one. You put everybody in the same level, because if you use the singular value, means what? Means the most visible reflector would be the first detected. Okay, the second one would be the second detected, because if this is strength, you put more emphasis on the most visible reflector. Okay, if you put alpha G equal to 1, then you put everybody in the same level. So all of these reflectors will contribute to the imaging function in the same way, even the weakest one. The weakest one will contribute in the same way as the strongest one, because you cancelled their strength. You normalize the strength of the reflectors by putting this weight equal to 1. Okay, so if you put the weight equal to 1, everybody will be equal. Then you can detect very weak reflectors, but it's kind of unstable. So the most stable algorithm is this one, reverse time migration. So among all of these choices of weights, in this class of weighted subspace migration, so let me make this statement more formal. So we want to get the optimal algorithm. I was talking about optimal algorithm. Optimal migration function. Okay. So the statement is the following: among all of this weighted subspace migration, in this class of weighted subspace migration algorithms, given the MSR A measurement, the estimator X hat equal to the argument of the max of E reverse migration of YS YYS in the search domain. This estimator is the best estimator But in which sense? It's the best estimator to localize the reflector in the minimal variance sense. Anyway, variance sense, provided that the noise is measurement noise and is Gaussian. For other kind of noise, it's not the case. For medium noise, which is not Gaussian noise, it's not the case. This is not the best. It's not the best estimator, provided that the noise is zero mean value with zero mean and Gaussian variance. And Gaussian. So if this is measurement noise, if the measurement noise is zero mean and Gaussian, then this estimator, reverse migration, is the best to localize the reflector in the minimal variance sense. Okay? And the minimum variance sense in this least square problem is equivalent to the maximum likelihood estimator. So there is equivalence. So maybe I don't have to say more about it, but maximum likelihood estimate maximum is this is equivalent to maximum likelihood sense is equivalent to minimal variance sense for this least squares problems, for least squares solution. So what's maximum likelihood? That's very popular. Maximum likelihood is to estimate for the known quantities which maximize what? Or which minimize? Actually, they have maximize or minimize? Maximize. Exact, given the data. Okay? So maximum likelihood. This is it yields estimates for the unknown quantities. Unknown quantities here are what? Are the location? Actually, are the noise. The noise is unknown. The variance of the measurement noise is unknown. It's Gaussian, but it could be with unknown variance. Yeah. The unknown quantities, it maximizes the probability of obtaining the observed data. And for least square solutions, this is exactly the same as minimal variance around the true solutions. Minimizing the minimal variance around the true solution or the maximum likelihood solution is the same. Okay. When we deal with measurement noise, because we are so least square solution with Gaussian noise. This is the simplest case, and these two concepts are the same. Okay. No question? No?
The choice of alpha j can be frequency.
I'm sorry?
The choice of alpha j can be the singular values or one with this method. But it can be can I give away as a frequency?
Yes, of course. You can make it as a frequency. Actually, you can make it as a frequency. It's even better to make it as a frequency when you have multi-frequency measurements. So then you can take advantage of this multi-frequency measurements. So, okay, now let me. But this was for here. This all of this was for single frequencies. Okay, for one frequency. Now let me discuss a detection test. So now this is actually there are many detection tests. We have the measurements. First way could be based on these algorithms. We compute some imaging function, A, let's say ART. We compute it everywhere. And if it exceeds some value, then we will say that there is something. But this is expensive actually, computing the imaging function everywhere, and then saying that it exceeds. You normalize by its, let's say, L2 norm. And if it exceeds some number, some value, then I'm sure that there is something. It's not coming from the noise. What I'm observing is not coming from the noise. But this is expensive. So we say this is also almost about localizing. So we have another way is just you don't do anything. You do SVD decomposition of this one. You look at the first. So this is cheap somehow. It's much cheaper than computing this imaging function everywhere in the search domain, and then looking at the values and saying that if the value is large, it exceeds some threshold. I'm sure that there is something, and it's there. So then you detect, but you localize at the same time. Okay, so this is one way. The other way is just we don't do imaging. We compute the singular values of the response matrix. We look at the first eigenvalue, first singular value. And if this one exceeds some value, then there is something. Okay. How to fix this threshold? This is about statistical testing. Okay. So what's the... There are many possibilities, but it's so let's take this ratio. You take the first singular value of A measured, and you divide this by the sum of the others. L2, you normalize. You take the ratio of the first one over the L2 norm of the singular values. Okay, the others. G from 2 to n. So this one is the highest one, first one. And you normalize by 1 over n minus 1 sigma g A measured square, and this is 1/2. So this is the ratio between. So looking at the first singular value would not be enough. So what would work is to look at the ratio between the first singular value and the norm, the L2 norm of all the others. If this ratio exceeds some values, then we can detect. then there is something. If not, then not. It's not. And because it's tricky. It should be based at some statistical distribution of the eigenvalues, and to distinguish whether they're coming from noise or coming from the reflectors. And this one has very nice properties. Okay, this R. So this is the ratio of the first eigenvalue, first singular value, over the L2 norm of the others. Okay. Using what I showed this morning, we can have a statistical distribution of R. In distribution, R is equal as the n goes to infinity. N is the size of the multistatic response matrix. As n equal to infinity, R has this distribution: 2 plus 2. There was the 2 of this morning. Plus 1 over 2 to the power 2/3 n to the power 2/3 z2, where z2 is type 2 Tracy-Widom distribution. Okay. This is if what? If sigma if sigma c is larger, if sigma c is smaller than sigma 0. So what's sigma 0? Sigma 0 is the eigenvalue of the imperturbed matrix. Okay, I still have it here. No. So A measured is equal to what? A measured is equal to A0 plus some Gaussian noise. Okay. Sigma 0 is the first eigenvalue of A0. Sigma C is the variance of this noise. If the variance of this noise is smaller than the first signal value of A0, then this ratio has the statistics. If sigma C is larger than sigma 0, then the reflector is in the noise. The statistics is completely different, and there is no way to detect it. It's in the noise. Okay? If sigma C is larger than sigma 0, sigma C is the variance of this noise. Actually normalize it. There's some normalization. It's important. Then R in distribution will get this behavior: sigma 0 over sigma C plus sigma C over sigma 0 plus 1 over square root of 2n. N is the number of elements in the array of transmitter, and the receiver 1 minus sigma 6 square sigma 0 square z0, where z0 is Gaussian because it's hidden in the noise. Its distribution is Gaussian distribution. The other one, it's not in the noise. Its distribution, this correction to 2, it's something more involved. It is a Tracy-Widom distribution. Okay. The Z0 is Gaussian with variance, with mean 0 and variance 1. Okay. Now what's the statistical test? Statistical test is statistical test is to postulate two hypotheses and derive a decision rule based on this ratio. Okay, so postulate and derive a decision rule. So what's it's called? One is called null hypothesis, and the other one is alternative hypothesis. So H0 is the null hypothesis, this statistical jargon, and there is no point reflector. H1, there is a point reflector. We want to test H0 against HA, H alternative, and test H0 against HA. There are two types of errors. What's the first error? We reject H0 when it's true. Reject H0 when it's true. So we reject H0 when it's true. So reject H0 means say that there is a reflector or there is no reflector. So make a false alarm. But still it's not too dangerous. The other one is more dangerous. Missing the target when there is there. So type 2. Accepting H0 when it's false. Accepting type 2. Accepting H0 when it's false. Means what? We say that there is no inclusion or there is inclusion. There is target. This is more, could be more critical. Okay. So the probability of type 1 error is what? Is alpha. This is probability to accept HA when H0 is true. Okay, and this we call this false alarm rate. And probability of type 2 error is beta. This is probability of accept H0 when HA is true. And this measures the success of the test. This is probability of detection. People call this probability of detection, POD. Okay, what we want to maximize this probability of detection for given false alarm rate. We have to give this false alarm rate. For given false alarm rate, we want given for given false alarm rate alpha, we want to maximize the probability of detection bit. We cannot minimize the false rate and maximize the probability of detection in the same way. Either we fix the false rate and we maximize the probability of detection, or we fix the probability of detection and we minimize the false rate. But usually it's more dangerous to make to miss a target than to make a false alarm. False alarm is fine. Even for training it's better. So we maximize probability of detection better. And actually there is a fundamental lemma in statistics. It's called Newman-Pearson lemma. It says the following: the most powerful test means what? Most powerful test is the test to maximize the probability of detection for a given detection rate value. This most powerful rate, for a given false alarm rate, the most powerful test corresponds to accepting HA for the likelihood ratio. I will write the formula. Ratio of HA to H0 exceeding a threshold value determined by alpha. So what's this? So okay, I will keep this test because we want to get the most powerful tests. The test which maximize the probability of detection. So for us, what's the test to maximize the probability of detection? Is what's the threshold here? What's this threshold value? This ratio, if it exceeds eta, then I am sure for a given false rate, I'm sure to maximize the probability of detection. So what's eta? That's clear. Given alpha, what's eta of alpha? When we compare this ratio to eta, I'm sure to maximize the probability of detection. And then I will write down what is the probability of detection as function of the parameters, as function of the array, as function of everything. Right? But I have to give the false alarm rate and to find the value here. I know that it has some statistics. The statistic differs differs between the case where it's coming from deflector or it's coming from noise, but that's not enough. I have to compare to some value, and this value is fixed by this likelihood ratio of HA to H0. So what's let me make it a little bit formal and then conclude this lecture. So take Y is the set of all possible data. Okay. Take F0 of Y and F1 of Y. These are probability densities under the null hypothesis H0 and HA. So what's this for Y is the set of all possible data. It's the set of all possible R, values of R. F0, probability density under there is no inclusion. I wrote it down. When there is no inclusion, I know what is R. It's a distribution. When there is inclusion, I know what is F1. I wrote it down. There's two statistical distribution of R. When it's coming from the noise or it's coming from a reflector. I know what is F0, I know what is F1. So this lemma, this lemma, it says that if you want to maximize the probability of detection, then you have to choose F1, this is larger than eta alpha. When eta alpha is given, the most powerful test is given by 1 over minus beta is the sum on y on all the possible values f1 y dy. This is the probability of detection is given by this one, and this eta is we reject H0 if the likelihood ratio f1 over f0 is larger than n eta. Okay. To fix n eta, it's not fixed there. Alpha is the alpha. This alpha is the false alarm rate. The probability of detection is given by this one, and to fix n eta is fixed by probability of R larger than n eta under the null hypothesis is equal to the false rate. This will fix n eta. This is given. This is this quantity, and this will fix n eta. If we make this probability equal to alpha, then we get n eta. If we get n eta, then this is done. We compare R to R than n eta. If it's n alpha, eta alpha, if it's larger, then up to this false alarm rate, there is inclusion. Okay? Means that if the false alarm rate is 5%, false alarm rate is 5%. If R is larger than n eta, computed with this value, 0.05, okay, then 95% there is inclusion. Okay? So there is inclusion, but with some probability, because there is noise there. So with probability 95%, there is inclusion. Okay? Okay, this is a statistical test. So let me. This is beta.
Yes, beta. Where are you use the beta?
This is alpha. So beta plus alpha equal 1. Just 5%. You fix the ratio here. You compare R to the ratio, and your probability of detection is 95%. If you make the experiment 100 times, you have 95 times to be true. You detect when there is something. You say there is something, and 95% you are right. Okay. So and actually we detect and we can estimate the number of the inclusions R using the structure of the matrix. How many singular values are there? Significant. We can estimate the number, and then we can locate them with this imaging functions. Reverse time migration, Kirchhoff, or least square solution, or music. It's up to you. The most stable one, if the noise is high, is the reverse time. Okay. So next time I will. I want to consider first imaging algorithm in the continuum approximation. unbounded domains. And to discuss this one more time, all of this reverse time migration, Kirchhoff migration, and I will introduce one more algorithm. Then in the second lecture, I will talk about generalized polarization tensors, this quadrupole and higher order multiple approximation, and show you that we can reconstruct the shape of the inclusion if we get this information. And it depends only of the signal to noise ratio. Okay. Thank you.